Hey guys, it's Hayes with CheatSheetPros.com. We have about 1 week of MLB under our belt. I've been extremely busy at work. I do apologize. Haven't been able to post a lot of picks and plays, but typically the first 7 to 10 days, I'm just kind of watching, doing a few plays here and there to see what's going on. So today is April 14th. It's about 7 o'clock. This was my first free night, and I wanted to bring in and do some tutorials. I just did one for daily fantasy and stacking, and so this one's going to be more for sports betting. So when you're taking a look at sports betting, these other tabs, the pitchers, hitters, and stacking tab, don't even worry about those. Just come right to this daily stacks tab. This is going to be similar to the bet tab for NBA. And then when you click in this, you can see the caret's gone. When you click in here, this little caret comes up. You can scroll through the games. We have our projection here versus Vegas. So we're going to show you what Vegas thinks, and then we're going to show you what the cheat sheet projection looks like. And once we get some more stats, I may bring this down here and make it a bigger column and add some stuff. I wanted to get this up just so we had something to go with. And this is just bringing up some of the pitcher data, which is limited right now. Also the bullpen that comes in after the pitcher. And then just basically how the team's been doing and how that starting lineup has been doing. Now, when you're betting a game, a couple things to look at. You're looking at sides, you're looking at totals. Typically with MLB, there's big money lines, so you're either laying the 1.5 or you're parlaying some teams together. Either one is fine. I prefer to parlay 2 or 3 high money line teams together if I like them, and I also like to mix in some totals because they're a lot of fun. Some of the key things that I look at is I want to see how the team is doing overall. That's the first thing. And then I want to see how are they home versus road. Are they better at one or the other? This early in the year, it's kind of hard to tell, but as the season gets going, you'll see me focus on that a little bit more. And then also, I want to see how are they righty versus lefties. Some teams crush left-handed pitching, and some teams crush right-handed pitching, and they're terrible versus left-handed pitching. If I'm doing prize picks or daily props or something like that for pitchers, I want to look at the team strikeout rate versus righties versus lefties. K props are huge for player props, and also just team strikeout rates. How are they doing? And there's several places we can look at that. So if I'm looking at betting, one of the things this is just the first game that I had pulled up here, was Oakland and Tampa Bay. So Vegas has this at 3.3 to 4.7. So what's that? 4, 7. So they had it at 8 runs. So quickly you can look at us and say, okay, we have it at more than 8 runs. We have it at 8.8, 9.3 runs. So I would say, okay, I want to look at the over in this game. Now, I just pulled up the scores as I started recording the video. And this game has already played, and you can see it was 6-3. They scored 9 runs. And one of the things I was kind of happy to see is Vegas projected Oakland for 3.3 runs. We had them at 4.8. They end up scoring 6. So that's fantastic. So that's one of the things that you can take a look at. And totals are a lot of fun. But anyways, without getting into a lot of the nitty-gritty detail, and we actually had Oakland winning that game too, ironically. 4.8 to 4.5. Ha. Anyways, also with the NBA bet tab, one of my favorite things was having that last 10 games. So I wanted to bring that in on MLB, and I can't tell you what a pain in the ass it was to get that data pulled to work. But now I've got it automated. It works. It's very quick, so use it and love it because I put a lot of time in it. But you can see the most recent games up top. We're going to go down 12 games. We're going to show you wins, losses, what the score is. And this is good for totals. You can see, you know, are they playing a lot of 4-2 games? Or are they playing 13-2, 8-9 games? And you can see home or road if they've been on the road for a while, if they've got some home, who they played. We have all of our Vegas trends that we typically do, on a bet tab. Up here in the corner, we've got our overall record, we've got our total, we got our run line record, and then we even split it up with home versus road, so you can see, which in this case, they haven't played any home games, so they're 0-0, but they're 3-3 on the road, but you can start to see, you know, totals and split them up, and we can identify some trends. Down here, we have our normal streaks. We have our record, streak, last 10, last 20, how a team does versus teams over 500, and how they do versus teams under 500. For example, here's one that just jumps out. And again, it's only a couple games, so no one hold me to this. But Tampa Bay, teams versus teams that are under 500, they're 3-0. Heck yeah. But teams that are over 500, they're 1-2. So keep an eye on those. That's good information to have. Last 10 power rankings. This is a good quick glimpse if you're looking at the two teams. So right here we can see Oakland was 3.3, Tampa was 4.7, but we have Oakland with the higher last 10 power ranking, 21 versus 5. You can also see over the last 2 weeks, runs per game, runs home road, average WOBA, WRC plus ranking, home run ranking, all that good stuff, and our favorite strikeout rate. So in this case, the next thing I would do is I'd go down and look at the starting lineup. So once you get a good idea on the team, get a grasp of like how they're doing, and I made it simple so you can see the home road. The right team's always the home team if you're not aware. Left team is always the road team. And then up here you can see I put this little, didn't mean to move that. I put this little today. So whether it's a righty or lefty, it'll say today over which one it is, so you don't have to scroll down and look. So here you can see they're both facing a left-handed pitcher. Well, you can see both of them do pretty good. They got a WRC plus over 100, so that's good. This is for stacking information, but if you want to see the individual lineup, this is mainly for fantasy. It has all their stats and data versus pitcher hand. If you're betting, one of the things I'm going to look at here is the BVP data. This is going to total all the batter versus pitcher data. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to look right here. Boom, this lineup is confirmed. I know this is the lineup they are rolling out. So I know this batter versus pitcher data is set in stone. And then I can take a look at it. Now in this particular case, what I'm looking at is they're giving up a 280 batting average and a 24% strikeout rate. But it's only 25 at-bats, so scroll past it. Don't even mess with it. You need 50, 60, 70 at-bats or more before you can start to see BVP data come to fruition. So in this case, 25 at-bats with 6 Ks and a home run, that really doesn't tell you anything. Second thing to look at, bullpen. So when the pitcher comes out, you want to know what's the bullpen like. I have a custom ranking right here, so if you don't want to look at these stats and you don't like numbers, you can say, okay, boom, they have the 8th rated bullpen, and then they've got the 25th rated bullpen. So that gives you a quick idea. You can see the home runs per 9, average, K9 rate, whip, xFIP, all that good information. Down here, focusing on the pitcher is key. A pitcher is typically going to get the first 5 to 6 innings. So we really want to break that pitcher down and look at him and see what he's doing. So far we've already evaluated the team. We've looked at their home road. We've looked at righty versus lefty. We've looked at their recent game logs. We've looked at their recent betting trends. So we got a good feel on the team and what we like. We've looked at BVP data to see if there's any that we need to look at. We've glanced at the bullpen, so we kind of know what's coming after that pitcher comes out of the game. And then now we want to look at the pitcher and we want to break him down. We want to know everything about that pitcher. So this square is one of the best things for anything you're doing. Fantasy, props, betting, prize picks, anything, you can find it right here. So what we're doing, we're going to give you the totals for the pitcher for this season, also for last season, and then we're going to split those totals up and show you how he does lefty versus righty and home versus road. Those are key things to look at. So the pitcher, since we're doing this 1 week into the season, they haven't met the 7 or 8 inning minimum, so this is blank, but it will fill in the next couple of days. So let's go back and look at the 2021 season last year. So we can see his totals right here. So Josh Fleming threw 104 innings. He had an ERA of 5. He had an xFIP of 4.36, so pretty average for the most part. He had a 313 WOBA. He had a real low K9 rate, which I was kind of shocked to see at 5.6. He had a whip of 135, and he gave up a 268 batting average. So that's his overall total numbers. That's what a lot of fantasy sites are going to show you. You're going to say, okay, Josh Fleming, last year ERA of 5.09. I use xFIP over ERA, but we can get more into that in the detail. If you don't want to look at anything else, look at whip, look at batting average, and then look at the ERA and xFIP. Those are going to tell the story. So in this case, you can see the opposite split and current split over here. So current split's always going to be at the top. So this pitcher is at home, and then you can see this pitcher over here is away. So with this home pitcher, Now, one of the things that jumps out at me is, look at this. Do you guys see any differences? Hopefully this is big enough you can see it on your screen. So one of the things that jumps out at me is this 5.09 ERA. At home, he had a 2.28 ERA, which is ridiculously good. But on the road, 8.8 ERA. So he has a significant home road split. So Fleming, pretty good at home. So if you're playing DFS, doing props, I would give him the benefit of the doubt at home. His ass goes on the road, I'm stacking against him. But I want to look at the XFIP too and see if we also see the change. So we had a 4.36, 3.91 at home, 4.94 on the road. So that follows the ERA. Better at home, worse on the road. Wobo, we won't get into. K9, that's for a later date. Whip, huge difference. 0.99 at home. That's elite. That's like Clayton Kershaw level. On the road, 1.82. That's probably bottom 20 in the entire MLB. Awful. And just look at the batting average. 199 at home. That's really good. 345 on the road. That's not good. So if you see, he had a total batting average of 268, you'd say, okay, he's an average pitcher. But if you look at this home road split, 199 at home, 345 on the road. One of the things I would caution you is make sure this innings pitched here, you have a significant amount. So in this case, 45 innings on the road, 59 at home. That's enough for me. That's, about 60-40 for his innings pitched. But numbers that drastic, those are the things we want to look at and that we want to identify when we're betting or we're playing fantasy or we're doing props. And then the same thing with lefty-righties. Look over here, see how many innings he had versus lefty-righty. And what was his ERA, XFIP? What was his K9 rate? And then if you look at this and you identify something, you can come over here and say, okay, well, this lineup here, this is confirmed. I can see that. How many lefties and righties does he have? So in this case, he's facing 6 righties and 3 lefties. So what you'll notice is you might find a pitcher that gets tagged by lefties, and then all of a sudden there's the top 7 hitters are all lefties. Well, if I'm playing fantasy, I'm going to stack 1 to 5, 2 to 6, and then like 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, and start mixing and matching all of those lefties. So over here, everybody's going to have more innings versus the righties. That's obvious. ERA, it's high on both. You can see the XFIP was a lot lower on lefties. He did much better. He had a 2.58 versus a 5 to righties, so that kind of jumps out at me. And then his K9 rate was a 9.1 versus lefty, but only 4.3 versus right-handed hitters. So right now, I'm really wanting to stack right-handed hitters because he had an XFIP of 5 and only a 4.3 K9 rate. Real low whip, batting average pretty much about the same. So I would come up here and say, okay, let me look at the righties. Maybe I'm going to do a sneaky 2, 3, 4, 6, 7 stack and get 5 right-handed hitters if I'm playing DFS. Or if you're betting, look up here. He's good against left-handed hitters. We see that. Well, if they roll out 6 left-handed hitters, okay, now I'm going to bet on this team and I'm going to play the left-handed pitcher, Josh Fleming. A good bullpen behind him. So just things to look at. BABIP's another one we'll get into in another video. And you can also kind of see how the team is doing. These are fantasy points. So you can see, if he's shutting everybody down or if the team's like this, Kevin Smith's doing really bad, Austin Allen's doing really bad, okay, these are probably a couple easy outs. This guy hadn't really done anything. So the bottom third, that's pretty good. So you can get kind of an idea of who he's going up against. Let's flip around and take a look at another game. So in this game, we looked at the total. That's one that jumped out. And also, they had Tampa Bay, and we had Oakland winning. And we identified, Fleming here, road versus home. He was good at home. So luckily today, he probably didn't do as well. But these are some of the stats that you can look at when you are sports betting and flipping around some of these games. And you can see here, we're pretty close to the Vegas line. So just flip around, look at some of these other stats. I'm trying to see if any teams have a significant different home-road split. Not a lot of teams have home and road games. A lot of them have either been on the road or they've been at home. All right, so we're just going to use Washington, for example, so I can show you what it looks like. So on the road, they're 2-1. At home, they're 1-3. And then you can see the WRC Plus jumps from 121.9 down to only 24, so a huge difference. Same thing with WOBA. Batting average, they're hitting 164 at home, 284 on the road. So these are things to keep an eye on. Now, I'm not saying go out and bet this game. You know, this is 3 games and 4 games. You know, it's only 7 games on the season. But if we get 20 games, 30 games, 40 games in, and this trend continues, you can identify it right here. You don't have to spend any extra time. You can look up, and there's these 10 little boxes, boom, 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 and it's going to be right there, and it's going to be highlighted in green. So if it's green, it's an advantage of where they are at today, and if it's red, like this, it is a disadvantage of where they are at today. So here you can see Pittsburgh at home, 1-1. WOBA, you can see batting average 283 on the road, drops to 222 at home. This is just a quick identifier. Again, it's just 2 and 3 games. Take it with a grain of salt. I'm just showing you where it's at on the sheet so you can dig it up. But that's kind of what I dig into to look at sports betting for fantasy. You can also follow money and see where it goes, but typically with high money lines, it's going to be drastically in favor of the big money line. And also, keep in mind, you know, these bullpen stats change. People are always rotating around and whatnot. But those are typically some of the things that I'm looking for as far as sports betting. So when you see me write up picks, those are a lot of the stats that I'm going to reference. And I go right to this tab to find them. And typically what I tell people is just get a process down. Everybody is different. But even if I'm posting the sheet and I'm working a 12-hour day and I don't have time to look at it, open it up, flip through these games, take a look at it, have some games pop at you, see what you like, talk in the chat, get things going. And we'll add some more stuff to it as we go on, but I wanted to get just kind of a quick tutorial and kind of show you guys some of the things that I'm looking at. And this can be as detailed as you want. You can dig down to every single individual stat, split, righty, lefty, home, road, but these are just kind of the general stats that I think will put you above the average person and give you a chance to look at the games without digging all over the internet. So good luck, guys. I'm tired as hell, and I'm going to get these videos posted, and then I'm probably going to go sit on the deck and have some cold beverages. We'll talk to you soon.